Hey, thanks for joining. You did it. Nice job. Introducing our project management trainer, speaker, author, and coach to thousands of professionals and organizations worldwide, including NASA, the U.S. Air Force, USACE, U.S. Army, the Department of Transportation, the FBI. Your friend, Phil. Over to you, Phil.
What up, y'all? How you doing? My PMPs, my pimps, my PMP gurus, people who have been on the journey towards getting PMP certified, and those who have given up. I know people have copped out, they've given up. Well, speaking of my friends at the FBI, maybe I need to come investigate you to see why you haven't gotten certified. What are you doing? We've been on this journey for too long for you to give up. But anyway, let's speak to everyone who's on the call today. I hope you're doing great. Welcome to Practical Communications. This is where we talk about communications management. Lots of you have been on the journey with me to getting certified as a PMP, Project Management Professional. Some of you have been on other journeys. Some of you might be in companies where I trained you in general project management, maybe in leadership, maybe in communication, or maybe we have something scheduled coming up soon. So maybe you're curious to know a little bit more about my take on communications. Well, I'd like to tell you right off the bat, communications is at the heart of a lot of stuff that happens in the business world. If you cannot communicate effectively and clearly, you are immediately put into the bucket of inefficient communicator. Probably not as good when it comes to doing what you're meant to be doing, because it all revolves around this topic of communications. So communications, as John Maxwell will tell you, is more than words. Effective communications involves connecting, which goes far beyond the words we speak. In fact, Professor Emeritus Albert Mehrabian, he conducted an experiment in UCLA. He found out some startling discoveries. One of the things he found out was that in a face-to-face setting, when we communicate, the communications that is words is far outweighed by body language, far outweighed by tone of voice. And those are some of the things we need to remember as PMPs, as project managers, as business professionals, as team players, whatever your role is. This rule is extremely important. So the main goal of our training today, of our touch point today, is to talk about communications, this topic, communications. Why is it important? And what should we do to get good when it comes to communications management? So I want to share a few things with you here regarding the topic. So communications is important. I don't know if you guys actually downloaded that PDF that I told you to download a few days ago. It's communication, the message is clear. I don't know if you saw that PDF from the Project Management Institute. Don't worry, I'm not investigating you anymore, so I can take these off. But communications, the message is clear. The PMI talk about this concept. It states whether it's in person or via email with a sponsor, come back, or a stakeholder, or a stakeholder, effective communications serves as the very bedrock of business. This is a very important thing to consider. Whether you're face-to-face, whether it's by email, whether you are just being observed, do you know that you are actually giving out tons of communication, even without saying anything? Just your mere appearance, just the mere sight of you is giving off loads of information to people who are observing. So whether it's in person, via email, with a sponsor, a stakeholder, effective communication serves as the very bedrock of what you do in business. It can sway public opinion. It can give teams a sense of purpose. It could persuade executives to increase funding And speaking of increased funding, do you know that it could spur an executive to raise your paycheck if you are doing it at the right time, in the right place, in the right way? There was someone communicating with an executive, a bunch of folks from the executive team that were about to make a hire. And this individual had gone in there to be interviewed, and they quite liked what this person had to offer. So the questions about salary came up. And of course, you know, when you're communicating salary, you better look them dead in the eye and be as honest as you can. But this individual was kind of taken unawares, because the first question they asked after how much would you like to demand was, is that not enough? Even before he could answer. So before he could catch his breath, another offer was made. For example, is 100K not enough? Because they'd asked him, how much? 100K not enough? 120 then. He was so dumbfounded, he kept quiet. Talk about silence communicating volumes. Well, they took his silence the wrong way. His silence was shock, but they took his silence as indifference. So they kept raising the offer until they got so high. And at the end of the day, he blurted out, okay, I'll accept. Talk about silence working out. But do you know, a lot of people, instead of being silent, they're speaking where you should let silence take over. But anyway, from this paper PMI has out there, Communications, the message is clear. It is very obvious that when you can effectively communicate and also connect, you get further ahead. Take a look at this. It says, among those organizations considered highly effective communicators, 80% of projects meet original goals versus only 52% at their minimally effective counterparts, according to PMI's Pulse of the Profession. So I don't know if you've taken a look at these white papers. I would advise you, if you are familiar with the PMI, this is something that you should be doing as a certified project manager, or not. You know, if you're affiliated with the PMI, this is also something you should be looking at. But there are a ton of white papers. I mean, this is money. This is stuff that you guys pay for. A lot of people aren't aware that PMI conducts some research using professional help and so on. So it says right there, compare 80% of projects meeting original goals versus only 52%. So that's not ideal. And that's why project managers should pay more attention to communications. They really should. Still on this slide, it says highly effective communicators are also more likely to deliver projects on time. Wow, what a discovery. But it shouldn't come as a surprise, should it? Versus, watch this, 37%. That is huge. We're talking about the 70s versus the 30s. That is a massive, massive jump. So for those people who are not communicating effectively in their organizations, they may want to take this white paper back to the PMI and share this finding. Highly effective communicators are also more likely to deliver projects on time, 71% of the projects versus 37%. And watch this, within budget, 76% within budget versus 48%. So this speaks volumes to us as project managers that communication is extremely important. This is not something we want to play around with. Now, I know there are just 3 processes in the PMBOK guide when it comes to this. And by the way, PMBOK means Project Management Body of Knowledge Guide. You see, we from the world of project management, we have standards and techniques and principles and tools. And one of the standards that we have is this book right here. Any project manager affiliated with a PMI will probably tell you a thing or two about it. It's called the Project Management Body of Knowledge Guide. So it has best practices in various aspects of knowledge that project management revolves around. And of course, it's often said that 70 to 90% of the project manager's time is spent communicating. Some people just flat out say 90%. But a lot of the project manager's time is spent communicating, whether you're in meetings, whether you're constructing emails, reading emails. It's a way of absorbing the information. So there is a lot that project managers do. In fact, I went to an organization to train and we were talking about redundancy of emails. And one project manager couldn't take it anymore. He said, emails are my life. Emails are my job. I have to read emails. Don't let me get started on that. But I understood where this poor project manager was coming from. You know, having emails in your mailbox. First thing in the morning, you got 100 different emails overnight. That's enough to send you up the wall. But anyway, let's read this on page 53 in the PMBOK guide. I just want to orientate you with why communications is very important. It says, research shows that successful project managers consistently and effectively use certain essential skills. Now watch this. Research reveals that the top 2% of project managers, as designated by their bosses and team members, distinguish themselves by demonstrating, watch this, superior relationship and communication skills. Wow. Wow. Who says soft skills are soft? It's the tough stuff that's the soft stuff. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people totally bypass, oh, communications, don't need that. Oh, leadership, don't. No, yes, you do need it. As evidenced by the PMI. I mean, this stuff is so important, I had to highlight my PMBOK guide. You see that? Superior relationship and communication skills. That is what distinguishes the top 2% of project managers. So we better get wise. We better get on the bandwagon and go learn something about communications. Now, I'll tell you right off the bat, full disclosure, this evening, I'm going to be giving you a tidbit from a book by one of my mentors, John C. Maxwell. It's titled, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. I'm going to share with you some of the overarching principles about connecting with your audience when you communicate. But I'd like you to go check out that book because that book helped me. That book helped me join the dots between the world of the PMI in this book, my real world, and what it could be with effective connecting. Not just speaking. A lot of people speak. Don't you listen to some speakers and they're all eloquent and great when it comes to the speech? But when it comes to them connecting with you, throw connecting out of the window because they have totally disobeyed all the laws of connecting. It's not just about being able to speak without a mistake or being loud or in your face. It's really about many other things. And we'll talk about some of those tonight. But here, right here, the top 2% of PMs, they come with their A game when it comes to superior relationship and communication skills. We're talking about out of 100 PMs, the top 2 demonstrate this. Isn't that crazy? We're talking about in 100,000 PMs, only 2,000 come out top because they're able to relate and communicate effectively. That is huge. And that's why I'm sharing, which is your communication. Because communication gets you levels above everyone else, as evidenced by this. So watch this. Let's bring this to a close. And by the way, this is my favorite page in the entire PMBOK guide because it underscores what you need to do to be in the top 2%. It's not about the Gantt charts and the EMVs and the EVMs, which are cool, but it's not about, oh, they're just kissing up. No, they're not. No, they're not. Because their team members are saying the same thing. These are the top men and women on the members. Superior relationship skills. I don't care what you have to say. That's not what you want to do. You don't want to shut people down before they even start. That's a 0, you know. You might as well be on X Factor getting a big old 0. But those who get all of the accolades and the 10 out of 10s, superior relationship and communication skills, while displaying, watch this, Zig Ziglar calls it PMA, positive mental attitude. Don't you love it when some people walk into your meeting? You're the PM, you're at the table, and all of a sudden you see someone meandering and shuffling into the meeting and plunking themselves on the seat. You know what happens to you. The very essence of your life is sucked out because you know those people are dark clouds. Now, wouldn't it be good if the PM could counter that with a little bit of PMA, some positive mental attitude, to prevent the energy from leaving the room when that dark cloud appears? And it's not just the PM, all the other poor team members, they're like, uh-oh, poor Phil, here comes whoever this person is with their negative attitude. How about countering it with a little bit of PMA? Because you know the only difference between PMA and what's outside is positive versus negative. There's no in between when it comes to countering that negative energy. So I want to encourage you PMs, we need to read, we need to study, we need to learn a little bit more about communicating. We need to make our delivery as tailorable as possible for the people we're delivering the message to. So it goes far beyond just reading page, whatever that page is in chapter 10, and regurgitating it, regurgitating figure 10-1. No, it goes beyond that. So this is where we need to go to the next level and become students of communicating, students of connecting, students of, watch this, relationship building. How do you build a relationship with your stakeholders, and why should you? Who cares about building a relationship? Those who are smart do, because they know that in order for you to effectively influence a stakeholder, you got to have communicating and connecting down pat. All right? So going back to our friends at the PMI, here we are with the talent triangle. The 3 prongs, technical, strategic, but the one that this really falls up under is your leadership. And that's why project management professionals, those of you who are certified, you know the PMI wants you to be learning about this. If you didn't know, now you know. Go to that page in the PMBOK guide, read it carefully, and you'll find that it is all mapping back to the talent triangle. So you need to take the talent triangle pretty seriously, folks. Now, when we talk about communications, there are different settings of communications. There is group communication, there is individual communication, there is project-related communications, there's personal communications. And we could go on and speak about communications like mass communications. But communications is communications is communications. So what am I trying to tell you here? I'm trying to show you that when it comes to communicating, not only is it important, but it is also critical that we hone in on how to do it effectively. How should we communicate? These are some of the things I'm going to be showing you tonight. How to effectively communicate and connect with your audience. So I've already gone over some of the intricacies and how you could communicate in various settings. But let me take you back to our friends at headquarters. Let's go back to the PMI, Communications 101. Under Communications 101, you guys already know this. Why don't we kick the tires and see how much of this you know? Chat into me. What are the 3 things that you should do as you communicate in the communications management knowledge area? Does anyone know? 3 things that PMI says you should be thinking about as you communicate. I've got a Microsoft update waiting to happen. And that's why my image keeps coming in and out, because Billy and his cohorts are about to update Windows 10 as usual. It's always fun when they do that. Anyway, anybody know what those 3 things we do are? The 3 things. 3 things. What are they? I'm taking a look for chats. No one knows? All right. The three things that are talked about in the PMBOK guide that you need to do in order to effectively communicate. And these three things are as follows. One, you want to plan. Always have a plan for your communications. Now, a plan doesn't necessarily mean just magically producing the plan out of nowhere. No, it means that you're sitting down and you're allowing the information to sink in what you need to communicate, first of all, and then you can begin to think about how to communicate it. But sometimes you need to ask why. Why would I communicate that? When is the best time to communicate that on a project? So these are some of the things you need to be thinking about, okay? So I think I got a chat in from my friend Renee. Renee said, manage communication. Oh, I see Fabian. Fabian, how are you? How's it in Atlanta, Georgia? You're in Georgia, right? How's it going out there tonight? I hope you're doing awesome. Fabian, are you on the horse? I hope you are on the horse. I'm trusting you. By the end of the year, I want you to come with your A game. I want you to deliver. So I'm looking forward to that. Renee, same thing. You know I'm going to hound you until you get certified. You already know that. That's an established part of our communication, right? So I hope you know that. I thought you were in Atlanta, Georgia, Fabian. Where are you this evening? Renee, so you guys chatted in plan communications management, manage communications, and monitor communications. Thank you very much. That is exactly what it is. So let's take a look. Let's take a close look at what the PMI says in the PMBOK guide. First, you want to plan. So regardless of communications, folks, in the workplace, communicating with difficult people, you know who they are. I don't need to spell out their names, but you need to plan. How? How am I going to do it? How am I going to pass across what I have to say? Maybe you're used to be maybe you're used to being shut down. I almost said shut it down. Maybe you're used to be shut down by these people. Maybe you need a plan. How do I avoid being shut down by these folks? How are you going to get around that? It needs to be planned. Maybe you can ask some more experienced project managers. It really depends. But plan out what you're going to do and then go into the doing. So in the world of the PMI, when we talk about managing, we're talking about the doing. So work your plan. Did you come out with a solid plan? Work the plan, okay, and do it well. The last thing from a pragmatic standpoint is the monitoring. So you guys chatted in monitor, which is cool. So I'm glad you're in the zone and you remember this. But do you monitor communications? Do you just communicate, or do you actually ask people, how was my delivery? Was it good? Did I make sense? Was it coherent? Or ask your boss, what could I do better next time? So I interviewed David on this channel, and one of the things he does, he asks people, what do you think you could have done better? And they ask him, I don't know, what could I do better? I'm talking about David Harrington, the VP that I interviewed, one of my students, former students, now VP at Wells Fargo. And one of the things he does is give them constructive feedback about how they could improve. And it's important for us as PMs, don't feel like I already know everything, or don't feel afraid to get the positive feedback that is constructive, but not always in favor of, oh, you did an excellent job. No, sometimes it might be, Phil, what were you thinking? Do you want to kill people? You show them 100 slides. Is that how to communicate? I want that kind of feedback. Sometimes it's hard to communicate, and you need to be aware that other people know and can give you the dimensions that you failed at, because you want to fail forward. Don't be afraid of the word fail, because really it's an opportunity to improve. So if I were you, every communication event, I would ask my boss, what could I have done better? Where did I fail? And it might be fail, you talk too much, you should have given people time to ask questions. That would have been priceless, instead of speaking all the way through up to the very end, not giving people a chance to get a word in. So sometimes it might be tough feedback, but it's good feedback. So in monitor communications, you want to ask, is my plan working? You want to ask your stakeholders. And when we talk about stakeholders, you saw in the PMBOK guide The people who were voted as being the top 2%, they were voted as such by their bosses and their team. So don't be afraid of asking your team members, do you think that was a good delivery? How could I improve on that? Or just simply ask them a neutral question. What do you think of the delivery? Not, was that good? Because they may not want to offend you and make you sad by saying that was just horrendous, or some other words that I'd rather not use here. But anyway, the bottom line is you need to plan, you need to manage, you need to monitor. Now, John C. Maxwell, like I said, has got quite a number of principles and practices that help you know how to effectively communicate and connect. So I'm going to touch on a few of these. I'm going to touch on the connecting principles just to give you guys a baseline, an idea for your next communication opportunity. All right. So the first one, it states that connecting increases your influence in every situation. Think about that. Let that marinate. Connecting increases your influence in every situation. The ability to connect with your audience. Who is your audience? A child, an adult, someone who feels let down in a particular circumstance, someone who feels left out. What should we do to get to where they are? Connect. Enable them understand you feel what they're going through. You understand what they're going through. It says it increases your influence in every situation. Now, when we break this down, let's take a quote from John that says, the true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. If you are able to influence, you're leading. If you're not able to influence, you're not leading. Now, connecting increases your influence. Connecting increases your leadership abilities. If you cannot connect, you probably will only lead at the positional level. But if you can connect, you begin to lead at level 2. Likability. People begin to gravitate towards you because you're a likable person, because you've got that empathy. So as we communicate, it is important that you put yourself in the world of whoever you're communicating with. You connect with them. And part of connecting is empathy and effective listening and putting other people first. It does. When you're able to connect, it really increases your influence, as evidenced in experiences I've had, experiences I'm not particularly proud of, because it shows what a speed demon I could be. But anyway, in one of such incidences, my sister had a bright idea for me to deposit money for her into the bank somewhere on Washington Street in Phoenix. So I took time out from when I worked at Honeywell, jumped in the car, tried to do all this stuff during my break, and I went into the bank and dropped off the check, which seemed good, and I was actually happy I was getting back on time. Until, as I was driving along Jefferson, I believe it was, because Washington goes up, Jefferson goes down. If you live in Phoenix, Arizona, you know what I'm talking about. So going down Jefferson, all of a sudden a Dodge out of nowhere seems to be revving behind me. I'm like, what's this? I move over to the side, and the next thing I know, the Dodge has come to my left. You know, it's a one-way street on Jefferson, and all of a sudden, this individual seems to be kind of edging up close, and I think, what sort of nutcase is this? So I push pedal to metal to get away from this nutcase who seems to be agitating me. The next thing I know, blue, red, and bright white lights come on behind me in this unmarked car, as it were. It was a cop. Pulled me over, gave me the big old sermon. You know what speed this is? You know the speed limit here? I'm like, 40? He says it's 35. Do you know what speed you were going at? I'm like, I don't know. 45? You're going at almost a 56. All right. Pull over, take out your keys, blah, 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 whatever. All that story that you're told. Now, anyway, pulled over and we began to have a conversation. I said, look, I'm really sorry. I'm just trying to drop off some money for my sister in the bank. You know, I walked down the road. At Honeywell. And as I connected with him, telling him where I worked, I noticed he was very interested in where I worked. And he said, Honeywell, you know, I used to work at Allied. We got into a big old conversation. I feel I connected with him at some point, and he could see that I wasn't a bad. It seems as though my volume has been off for like forever. So I apologize for that. It would have helped if I was looking at the chats. So it seems as though my talk about communication and connecting, when your volume suddenly goes off and you don't even know, you got a problem. So my volume is usually kept low because if I don't, you see that? I keep hearing myself coming back. But we'll probably try to do this again because I know a lot of the stuff that I talked about, you guys probably didn't even catch, unfortunately. But I'm going to backtrack here, and I'm going to go back to the point that was on the screen. And the point that was on the screen, guys, is this. Connecting increases your influence in every situation. I'm not sure how much you got or where it went off. You know where it went off? I'm not sure where it went off. I'm really sorry. I was trying to underscore the importance of connecting with your audience, connecting with people you're speaking with, talking with, people you're managing, people managing you, so on and so forth. That was really the purpose of what I was speaking about. All right, so if you tell me where I lost you, I will go back and explain. Do you know where the volume got lost? Has it been like forever? Does it seem like it's like 100 years ago? Probably, because I think I've been speaking for a good 10 minutes without any audio. So I'm not sure, I'm not exactly sure of where that problem occurred. But I'll backtrack a little bit. The summary of all that I was saying is, in order to be an effective leader, in order to be an effective manager, in order to be an effective team player, you need to think about connecting with your audience, whatever that looks like. Did you guys get the part of the cop who stopped me when I worked at Honeywell? Oh dear, about 5 minutes ago? Okay, so let me backtrack. So I was speaking about how the cop stopped me, right? Did you guys get the part where he let me go? Did you get that part about how we were able to connect and how he let me go? I'm not sure if you got that part, but the summary is I was able to connect with him because I started narrating to him where I worked and what I was doing and why I was in a hurry, and at the end of the day we connected based on the fact that he used to work at the company I did when it was Allied. Okay. And anyway, he let me off. So I shared that to underscore that connecting will increase your influence in every situation. And then next, I talked about the fact that in your company, you have an opportunity to communicate upwards to your bosses, to your superiors, downwards to your subordinates, people who are your direct reports, and across to your peers. And my challenge that I offered to you guys was, how are you going to do that? How are you going to effectively connect with your peers? How are you going to effectively connect with management? How are you going to effectively coordinate or connect rather with your subordinates? So it's a challenge that a lot of PMs face. So that's the first of John's connecting principles. Let me share one more principle with you, and maybe we'll do the rest another day. Okay? Connecting focuses on others. In a communication setting, it becomes important to think about others, only others. Don't think about yourself. You see, a lot of people, they're communicating, and the reason why they're doing it wrong and not getting very far in it is they're thinking about themselves. You know, is my language impeccable? Do I look good? Even though those things are important. But if you focus only on you, and you don't focus majorly on the people you're trying to connect with, you're going to lose out on your connecting abilities. So in order to effectively connect, you want to minimize the focus on you. You want to drop all your guards, put your guards down, and just focus on them. What is Phil seeking to obtain from this meeting? How can I effectively connect with Phil, a stakeholder who is concerned about the test phase? Or how can I effectively communicate with my friend Fabian, who is a stakeholder that is interested in the implementation? You see what I'm saying? As a project manager, it's very important that you think about what is in it for Phil, what is in it for Fabian. How can I make this deliver value to them? You're putting yourself in their world, and you are communicating with an intent to connect. You see? So that's another tip. And I mean, I can break this down more and more, but I'm giving you the top of the waves. Let's go to a few more because I've spent so much time talking on one, I might as well give you a few ideas about the others. Connecting goes beyond words. I often talk about Professor Emeritus Albert Mehrabian and his experiment at UCLA and how this stuff is very important. Because in a face-to-face setting, as my friend Rick Brinkman calls it, by the way, check out Rick's book. It's called Communicating with People, or Dealing with People, rather, that you can't stand. It's quite an interesting book. But he talks about this called the 55-38-7. That's what he calls it. But the 55-38-7, it really deals with the 55% of the message being perceived by the body language, 38% being the tone of voice, and the 7% of communication being the words. So body language 55, tone of voice 38, and words just 7%. So connecting goes beyond words. If you're connecting, trying to connect with your audience, just know it's not about the words. It's not about what you're saying. It's about how you're saying it. It's about the body language. It's about the tone of voice. Those things are very important when it comes to effectively connecting with your audience. You might want to put them to practice next time, right? Think about your body language. Does your body language exude what you're trying to communicate? Does your tone of voice do that? Does your facial expression show that? How does it make people feel when they look at your facial expression and stuff like that? The next one here is connecting always requires energy. So I just got done with a class with some folks, our friends at Fort Lee, the U.S. Army, and some of my friends at a different company, LMI, and some other companies around the world. So as we were getting ready, as I was getting ready for the class, one of the things I intentionally did was to get a ton of rest. Because I know that in order to connect and communicate, the secret is having the energy. The problem with a lot of PMs going into big meetings, difficult situations, talk about difficult situations like the PMP exam, they're forgetting the energy bit. They're doing all the studying, all the reading, but they're forgetting the energy. Same thing with communicating and connecting. It requires energy. Why? Because you are actively listening. You are communicating with the right body language. You are doing your best to exude what you're trying to communicate through nonverbal methods. That requires a lot. You are actively listening, trying to process a lot of information. I was speaking to a buddy of mine and another associate of ours, and we were talking about how project managers need to be at their A game. And I'm actually going to bring her on some of these shows so that she will speak to you guys a little bit about NLP and other topics, non-PMBOK guide topics, but are important for the PM. So I'll bring Lauren on here in a few weeks, and you'll be able to hear what she said about this. But one of the things she underscored was that project managers in a lot of instances are not at their best. And because they are not at their best, what happens? They are not able to make good decisions. They're not able to communicate effectively. They're not able to connect. But going back to this point, energy. Project managers need to have a huge reserve of energy. And that's why every day before you hit the workplace, you want to go with your energy banks, your reserves. It's very important project managers get a ton of sleep because they are communicating and connecting like 90% of the time. Last but not least, and I'm going to break this down in episodes to come, but this is connecting is more skill than natural talent. Has anyone ever made you give up in communicating? Has anyone told you, forget it? You'll never be good at this. You stammer, you stutter, you're not very eloquent. You look a bit worried as you're communicating. Has anyone ever been that negative towards your communicating? Well, the good news is connecting is more skill than natural talent. Born communicator, you're good. No. Communication is more skill than natural talent. There are a lot of people who aren't that great at communicating. Like Richard Branson. Richard Branson, he'll be one of the first people to tell you, I wasn't born an extrovert, but I realized I needed to amp up my extraversion and become better. So he did. But you see Richard communicate, you wouldn't really know that that's not how he immediately started. What he eventually became is not what he was immediately when he first got into business. But he realized, I need to communicate better. I need to get good. And he did get good. He did amp up his ability to effectively connect and communicate. And that's what John will tell you. John will tell you that it's not about being born good. You need to get good. You need to put in the time and effort to be good. I'll never forget the first time I watched a video of your friend Phil training. When I watched your friend Phil train for the first time, I said, my goodness, you look rather dubious. I wouldn't buy anything from you. I wouldn't trust you because you look shifty. Someone watching says, Phil, you still look shifty. I guess he does, with the glasses and all, huh? Okay, should I take the glasses off? Do I still look shifty? I hope not. But seriously speaking, the first time I watched myself, I said, Phil, I'm not buying this. You look like one of those, people, like, when you go to New York and LA, you go to the crowded cities, and there are always some people in the corners ready to do a deal with you, a deal gone wrong, more like it. But I observed myself. I said, this isn't good. This body language isn't good. I need to get better. So I continued using the mirror, using video. Thank goodness for the phones these days. I mean, everyone has got one of these. There's no excuse. You got one of these, there's no excuse for not practicing. I mean, right then and there, you could put that thing in front of your face and record and see it. Does he convince you? Does she convince you? How about in a business meeting? A lot of PMs, they don't check their delivery. You should. You should check your delivery as you're communicating, just to see, does my body language match what I'm trying to exude? In my case, it was a big no-no. It was big no, Phil, you look dubious. You need to get with the program. I don't know what you're doing wrong, Phil, but it's not working. So we need to be brutally honest with ourselves. But connecting is more skill. What I'm trying to say is that you need to practice. It's more skill than natural talent. Some of my former classmates, they're horrified. My goodness, I can't believe Phil is training everyone. Well, it's not about born skills. It's not about born talent, rather. It's about skill, grown skills, growing those skills, not relying on, I can speak. I have a lot of students who are great at speaking, like forever. They can speak till the cows come home. But that is not effectively connecting, is it? Being able to talk is not effectively connecting. Being able to talk is not effective communication, because some people will shut down. But when you spend time, studying it, again, the book is Everyone Communicates Through Connect. I'm not here to sell you John's book. That is not why I'm here. But I think this book could help you if you took a little look at it and see what John has to offer in the book. So that is pretty much it for connecting principles. But I want to ask you a few questions before we close out. What does your communication command? Does it command attention? You want it to, right? So how can you communicate to demand the right attention at the right time? What about respect? Does your communication command respect? One of the things I very quickly noticed working in one of the top banks in the UK was you want to demand respect. You got to come with your dress-up A game. Don't come looking all shabby, shoddy, and sweaty, Phil. Bring your A game. So I actually did invest quite heavily in a wardrobe that enabled me command respect. Seriously. Shirts, ties. I mean, I used to dress a lot more formally than I do now. because of where I was working. But do you know that you are communicating even by how you dress in a particular job, a particular business? So one of the quickest ways to demand that respect through your communication that is not verbal is your appearance. Seriously, it goes a long way. Does your appearance inspire trust, or do people just shut you down, Phil? The moment you appear, he looks like he could be one of those people at a corner in whatever state, name withheld. No, you don't want that. So be aware that the whole package is communicating. Words, tone of voice, body language. On the right hand side, I have the cycle in my world, my idea of how you are communicating without saying anything. Do you know your fragrance? It could speak volumes, or lack thereof, or the negative end of the spectrum. I'm being serious. Dress code could speak volumes. What about accessories? Too many accessories. It could communicate the wrong message. Do you know that? What about just any basic accessories like the bag, the briefcase? It's all banged up. It could communicate. I'm serious. Facially, your body language, your posture, it could communicate volumes. Positivity. Be negative. You read in the PMBOK guide along with me that having a positive mental attitude, it goes a long way. So all of this stuff is all part of the message that you are sending out. Does your communication demand confidence? Confidence, you being confident, does it make you confident? Or what about the stakeholder? Does it make the stakeholder distrust you? Whether your words, whether your appearance, whatever it is, and these are all things that I just want PMs to think about as they do this in the workplace. So there should be a careful consideration of all communication. All right? Fabian says elevator speech. Exactly. It goes along those lines. Practicing the art of listening. Have you ever communicated with someone and felt they're not going to listen to me anyway, so why bother? So we don't want to be that person, right? We want to actively listen. Practice with a mirror, like I said, is something else you should think about. As you're communicating as well, you shouldn't assume that you know everything. To be quite honest with you, I have had that problem. Just shutting up. Shut up, Phil. Just listen. But sometimes I have to almost kick myself. Shut up and listen. Don't go there. Don't reply. Listen. I've had to tell myself, Phil, be quiet. Listen. What about retreating? What about retreating to reconsider? Or as questions come up, do you really listen to the questions? Or do you feel, oh, I know the answer to that. Boom. And then it's the wrong answer. It's the wrong answer. Part of communicating, do not act in a superior manner and don't shut people up. Some people are very bad at that. They just shut you down. Yes, my question was out of line, right? But you didn't have to shut me down trying to make me look like Phil's dumb. He doesn't know anything. So we don't want to do that, okay? We don't want to shut people up, even if, they are off base. We don't want to do that because you are diminishing your ability to influence at level 2, at the likability level. So we need to be careful, I was speaking to a colleague a few days ago. My colleague was telling me about some of the drama in the workplace. So here's the drama in the workplace. There's a team, a bunch of folks. And all of a sudden, 2 people out of the number of people are left at the same level, and 3 suddenly are bumped up to higher positions. So you got 2 disgruntled people now reporting to those who were their peers before. What does that do? It changes the dynamic a bit. You see why we need to be nice to everyone? Because the tables could be very quickly turned. Speaking of tables very quickly turned, there was a $1.6 billion amount that very quickly turned the tables on someone. person's probably running for refuge, trying to hide. Things change very quickly. Anyway, so the 55-38-7 rule, how well do you use this knowledge will be one of the questions I ask you. You're aware that body language is big. 55, 38, tone of voice. You need to use this stuff. How does your posture affect communications? Be aware of that. What about your voice, tone of voice? How about the person you're communicating with? How about the pat on the back or the occasional touch of the hand? When is that too much? When will that be construed as invasion of space? And some people, they're huggers and touchers, but we need to be careful. That didn't sound exactly positive, but you kind of get the picture. But seriously speaking, that is the gamut of what I had for this evening. I only wanted to get you more into thinking about communicating in a pragmatic fashion, taking some of these things that you learned from your time as you studied with me, putting that into action, thinking about active listening, empathy, the 55-38-7, just in case you forgot any of those things we might have spoken about before. So that is pretty much it. That's it. That's really what I wanted to touch on. And at this point, if you got any comments, concerns, questions, as usual, you know, when I come on here, that's what I want to do. Answer questions, help you out, give you some direction. Any questions about communicating, about connecting with your audience, getting good in communications? I will answer any questions you have, if there are questions. So for those of you who are on the journey to getting certified as a project management professional, you might want to go to pmsucceed.com. We have training coming up in November. 35 hours of training to get people certified. It's going to be virtual. Okay? So, are you guys thinking of getting certified before then? So I want to challenge you. Fabian and Renee, I know you're on the call, so I'm going to challenge you. Why don't you come for that class? If we go back into our archives and count all the monies you spent with us and subtract that, will that make a difference? Okay, that's an offer you can't refuse. So if you're not certified by November 17th, why don't you think about that? Anyone else who is watching, if you have been one of our students and you're still not certified, you need to go to pmsucceed.com. You need to go sign up. You need to say, hey Phil, I've already spent like a boatload of money with Praizion. Can I get a discount? Of course, we're going to look into that and discount you. All right? Those of you watching, my first set of PMPs to be on the 6th edition virtual course, you know that I'm still out for, I want to say, blood. But you know I'm out for retribution because you guys owe me a PMP. All of you. All those are my friends, my little homie, you know who you are. All of you owe me PMPs. I demand my PMP. I demand my cert. You guys want to bamboozle me? Rob me of my PMP cert that you're owing me? You ain't going to get away. I know who you are. I got my eye on you. Someone says, Phil, those are scare tactics. I got to use what I can to get my students to get certified. You know it's all in jest. But seriously, if you are not certified, I got my eye on you. I want you to be certified because I know it will do you good. I know it will do you a whole lot of good. So, Renee, I'm expecting to see, yep, you spent a boatload of cash, right? Because you signed up for the 6-hour review, power review. So that's already almost $200 plus other things. You need to be in these classes, except you're going to get certified before November 17th. Then I'll let you off the hook. But those of you who are not certified, I don't know what you're waiting for. Come to the live class. Shri, one of our students, is in that class. I think Shri is having a good time. Are you having a good time, Shri? Can you chat in? So the link to go check out the course is www.pmsucceed.com. Fabian, you spent a boatload of cash as well. I hope you got that refund, because I think we refunded you some cash. You see, we're always trying to be honest on our A game with honesty. If we feel you spent too much, we're going to return the money. Did you get your cash back, Fabian? Because I think you spent almost 200 bucks, 2 Benjamins more than you should have. 175 or something to that effect. So the bottom line is this: if you're not certified by 17th of November, you need to come for that course, guys. We'll consider the money you've spent, we'll subtract them, we'll make it affordable. You know, people coming for that training, they're going to get one of these. One of these. The download. You're going to get the download as part of your options. You're also, of course, I know, Renee, you've already got this book, but you will get this, Project Management Essentials. And you're also going to get a boatload of stuff on the learning management system, which you guys already know about. Very good. I'm glad you got that, Fabian. So for anyone else watching, if you're thinking of studying more about project management, I'm actually arranging another boot camp that is not certificate based. It's not for people, it's not PMP oriented. It's for project managers, but it's a Project Management 101 boot camp. If you're keen on attending that Project Management 101 boot camp, which is for newbies or people just trying to find their way, you might want to send a message to support@praizion.com and just say, hey, when you're having that PM 101 boot camp, can you invite me? So it's going to be considerably less because it's not certification oriented and it's short. You know, it's a very quick boot camp. We're not going to keep people for days and tens of hours on end. The boot camp will be less than 10 hours. But what it's going to do is it's going to show you how to apply what is in the book, what is in the PMBOK guide. It's going to show you how to apply it in a pragmatic fashion, but it is not certification intensive. All right? So talk to me, Fabian. What's going on? Are you on the treadmill still? Renee, are you on the treadmill? Ask me some questions, because you guys don't ask me enough questions, and I want to add value to you, but if you don't ask me questions, I can't answer anything. I can't preempt. That would be presumptuous of me. And we're talking about effective communication and connecting. I should be listening to the questions, not trying to imagine, I wonder what question Renee has for me today. Let's see. No, I shouldn't be doing that. So do you have any questions, or anyone else who is on the call? Do you have questions, comments, concerns about project management? About, I don't know, the PMI? About, I don't know, the Scrum Alliance? You want to go there? Agile Alliance? Speaking of the Agile Alliance, guys, did you know that the PMI pretty much partnered with the Agile Alliance? I don't know if you noticed the logo. That's pretty cool. Right there. Pretty cool. See that? PMI and the Agile Alliance. Never knew I would see the day when those guys collaborated. Very productive collaboration. And of course, we've got this, the Agile Practice Guide. So, yeah, whatever you want to talk about, I don't know. Let's do it. You got questions? You got concerns? What is your number one gripe about the PMP exam? Chat into me. What is your number one gripe about the PMP exam? The one thing you hate the most. Let me be your shrink for the night. Chat into me. What is the one thing that you cannot stand about the PMP exam? Chat in. Chat into me. Chat in. No one's chatting in. Did I see a chat? Oh, Renee chatted in. Thank you, Renee. Renee said, my only question is to get the PMP under my belt. Let's do it, man. Let's do this thing. Let's do it. Let's do it. We got to be rugged, dogged, and tough. Seriously. We got to become junkies, Renee. That's the way out. We got to become junkies. We got to be eating a PMBOK diet. Morning, noon, and night. Hey, some people, well, it's all going to come out in the open. But some people take this stuff. Some people take this stuff to get wired. Do you know what you need to be drinking? You need to be drinking this stuff. You need to be, this needs to be your performance enhancing drug. You need to be shooting up this stuff, right? You need to be reading it and getting high on PMBOK. Get high on PMBOK. Seriously. When you do that for the next, give it 4 weeks, Renee. By the time you get a buzz, when you hear 9.6.1, by the time you know what 9.6.1 is, and you know, oh, that's probably talking about something in the inputs of control resources, you know you're smoking it right. You got to smoke the guide. You got to get high on the guide. I'm not saying, please don't tear out the pages and do anything crazy. That's not what I'm talking about. But seriously, by the time you go to 9.6.1 and you take a look and you say, oh, it's inputs. And you hear 9.6.1.1, oh, that's the project manager. By the time you get to that level, yeah, you're in the right zone. And then go to the next level. All of those words that are scrambled across the guide, you want to know them. And the more you know them, the better you're going to get. You got to smoke the guide. You got to get high on the guide. You know, this stuff is, I mean, it works. But you want this stuff. This stuff, the sheer motivation of this stuff needs to propel you. People say knowledge is power. Well, knowledge can get you high. And it's not bad. But then we need to pragmatize the knowledge. Is that even a word? Pragmatize? I don't know. But you got to take what's in the guide and make it real. So, Renee, please remind me, what's your Renee's, he's laughing. He's like, Phil's really been smoking this stuff because he high. He high as a kite. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, seriously speaking, you got to get that stuff into your system, all right? Fabian said that LMS tests really assist us. Well, they do. They do. You know, one of the major problems a lot of my students face is the repetition and continuity. They're right there in the zone for a week, for 2 weeks, for a month, for 2 months, and then all of a sudden there's a life event that they allow knock them off the horse, and then they run out of gas. Bad. I mean, the nearest gas station is like 2 states away. By the time they're left where they are, the nearest gas station is two states away. And instead of making the trek to the gas station, they give up. They're like, oh, it's too far away. It's too far gone. Oh, what am I going to do? How am I going to pick myself up? Just pick yourself up and get moving. Get an Uber or something, but get moving. Take a can. Get to the next station quickly. Because there's no way out, folks, other than staying persistent. AAA isn't going to show up and start filling your tank with knowledge gas. It ain't going to happen. Right? So, Fabian said, consistent, yeah, you ran out of gas, Fabian, that's it. Because I know you are hot and heavy on it. You've been on this journey for a long time. You know, and I appreciate you just being honest and accountable because it's going to help people. But then I also feel bad because I see the unending cycle. So I decided that if I saw you guys on the call, because it's funny, both of you guys you're part of my bosses to be. I see you as a boss, but we just need to catch up the future with the now. We need to let there be a collision of your bossness with where you are as PMP to be. We need them to catch up with each other. But I really want you to. And that's exactly why I'm making you this offer. I know that if you were on this virtual course, I know it would really add a lot of value to you. And both of you, Fabian, you've been on the 6-hour power review as well. And I know you're doing all that you can, but I even want to make it easier for you. So let's go back to our archives. Take a look. You guys go back to your archives. Take a look at your spend. And let's find a suitable plan for you. And the same for anyone else watching. If you feel, oh, but I've spent about $300 with Praizion. Well, let's take a look at that. And maybe you can get the course instead of $750 for the amount that the difference is. All right? And of course, we'll cap this at a particular amount, but let's at least know how much you've spent. Let's find the delta and let's make this happen for you. You know, I want you to pass the exam. You know, I feel bad looking at records. I'm like, what happened to him? What happened to her? I don't like that, you see. So let's do that. Fabian said, I've gone through the PMBOK one time. Yeah, you have to connect the dots, Fabian. Multiple iterations, multiple. And that's exactly what we do in this virtual course, you know, on pmsucceed.com. Over and over again. Like today, we spent roughly 3 hours. 3 hours on schedule management. And we ain't done. 3 hours. We did 30 minutes on Monday. We did 3 hours today, and we're still not done. Because we're connecting all of those dots. Every single piece needs to be connected, and that's what we're up to do. So I want to encourage you guys, think about making November 17th a date. Let's do this thing. Let's close out 2018 with you guys killing it. Hey, so, but it's funny, both of you, I got an email from someone who has been on the journey, similar to you guys. He got on this journey a while back, but he had a little mishap on the exam. And I always felt that mishap was because he didn't allow enough time, you know, to let it marinate. He found us late, basically. He found Praizion late. But the good news is, just this afternoon, actually after I got done with my training, I open up my emails and I get this email. Let me read the email. I get this email. He actually sent this email eons ago, but I was busy getting ready for my course with the Army. But he says, good news. Hi Phil, good news. Passed my PMP exam today with above targets in initiating and closing, targets in planning, executing, monitoring and controlling. I wanted to thank you very much for your continued support in terms of encouragement and coaching. This is someone that had to go through the ridiculous 1 year probation. 1 year probation. That is a whole lot of motivation. To be thrown off for a year and to come back in over 365 days with a vengeance and to say, I ain't taking no prisoners. I'm gonna kill it. Kill it he did. He got on the LMS about 4 weeks ago, but he rode that LMS like there was no tomorrow. He rode it hard. I saw him taking, actually let me open up because I'm getting curious now. I saw him taking mock exam upon mock exam ad nauseum, like that's right man, do it, do it. And I had no idea that today was D-Day and boom, PMP. Initiating and closing above target, everything else. That is really awesome. I just got another email. Woo! Hey, Melinda, if you are watching, I just got your email. This is as sick as it gets. My bosses are coming out of the woodworks. Melinda just sent this. She said, I wanted to let you know I took the PMP exam today and I passed. The first time I took the exam, I received 1 above target, 1 target, 2 below target, 1 needs improvement. This time, your help, guidance, and material, I passed with 3 above target. Boom! Booyaka! Kill the ridiculous test. You know how good that makes me feel? And she says, 2 target. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much. Hey, Melinda, sending out huge congrats to you. You're going to get my life after the PMP exam. I mean, that's how you do it. That's how you boss up. Guys, Melinda was on the course you were on, the power review. She got done with the power review. I said, you know what? I think you might want to take a look at the 35-hour course because Your mock exam was cool, but I think you need a little bit more. Listen to your buddy Phil. She did. She got on the full 1 month LMS and she wrote it continuously for days. As soon as I saw her name pop up, I felt, I see a surprise coming, a good surprise, and I'm very happy about that. So Melinda, hats off to you. I'm sure you can't even be bothered to watch your buddy Phil this evening because you would have been on the call. But you're not, because you're having the time of your life. Great job, Melinda. Hats off to you. And I'm on cloud 9. You know, how good does it get when you open up your email to check for another student's scores, but you end up finding out another student has just killed the exam? I mean, this is the reward, the big reward I get from training my friends worldwide, because I really love it when people pass the exam, because I know what's in store for them on the other end, you know, if they just keep bringing their A game in that same regard. So, Melinda, I'm just on cloud 9. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Okay. So let me check for the, oh, there we go. So this student took the 50 question mock exam, got a 64% on the 15th, took the 50 question mock exam again on the 15th and got an 84. Interesting. Let's see if there was anything else. This student took the 2020 mock exam on Monday and got a 62. You see? So that's pretty cool. Took a version of the core definitions exam in August and got a 62 as well. So this is what I'm telling you, folks. Our mock exams, they're great litmus tests. Seriously. They're very good litmus tests. The 2020 mocks are horrendous. Renee, I know you've done the 2020 stuff in the past, but Fabian, I don't think you have, but it'll be good when you finally do. Yeah. So anyway, that's it, folks. You see, if you have any questions, more questions, I want to answer them. So I think Fabian, Renee, go back, think about what I've said, let it marinate. Let's see what we can do to further help, further encourage, get you to that. I see you as bosses, seriously. There's no reason why you shouldn't be holding the PMP cert. Well, there's no reason why you shouldn't have placed the PMP cert on your wall right about now at 10:22 Eastern on this 24th day of October. There's no reason why, other than you need to get back on the horse, ride that horse hard all the way to the finish. That's what you need to do next. And part of riding the horse hard is getting the right level of support and motivation. You know why a lot of people hesitate to sign up for my virtual boot camp? You know why? It's not for monetary reasons. Should I tell you why? They are afraid to commit. They're afraid to commit. Don't be afraid to commit. Commit, and it's not commitment of finances. No. That is not the problem. A lot of people are like, oh, I have to go to class. Yes, you have to go to class. Of course you do. Oh, I have to. Yeah, you have to bring your A game. You see, no pain, little gain. Right? It's not that there won't be gain. It's just going to be little. You know? So, like now, I'm spending a lot of time and effort and energy in my working out. I'm seeking help to go from where I am to where I want to get to. I want to get to 30 pounds less. But not just that. I want to get to a point where I am happy at the results of being 30 pounds less. Because, you know, 30 pounds less doesn't mean 30 times more fit. It doesn't. But there are things you can do to become extremely fit. And that will make you happy. The same way in the world of the PMP. You got to do things. It's uncomfortable, yeah. The other day I was in pain, literal pain, from the reps I was doing. From leg day. You know, even though it's one of the best that I get great gains and results from. In terms of pain, it's one of the worst. But I'm seeing gain. The same way in the world of the PMP, shut yourself in an office, look at the time. Which person in their right mind gets done with a 3-hour training from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock and stays behind to deliver value to people at 7:24? Only your buddy Phil. Why? Because I know I'm adding value. And I know I need to be in the pain zone to get my students into the pain or the gain zone. Yeah, so your buddy Phil is paying us a price, but you are going to get gain from it. And you might even be in pain having to watch your buddy Phil right now. It's pain both ways, but it's going to result in gain. All right, I need to get off my soapbox. Thank you, Fabian. I need to get off my soapbox, except there are questions. Except there are questions. You're most welcome. And I want to do my part. I really want to do my part of encouraging you to success. You know, I feel bad sometimes that a lot of my students haven't taken the test. Some of our clients have spent thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. And the people they spent tens of thousands on, they don't get certified. They don't use the resources. You know how that makes me feel? It makes me feel so mad. I'm like, okay, next time you call me to train, I ain't gonna charge you a dime because I'm fed up of you spending money and your people aren't getting certified or even taking the ridiculous test. It makes me so mad. I guess that's just how I'm wired. Other people don't care. Other people don't mind taking wads of notes from you, but I do. So if you're one of my students out there, you pay to be on the system, you better know that I care. I care. And I take it personal, not in a bad way, but I take it personal when people pay and they don't get or they don't follow through to get their results. You know, so I really want you guys to follow through, get certified, get to the next level, and then come back as a visiting prof to train with me. You know, like one of my students, Sandra, she's going to be training with me at the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. We're going to be bringing it. She was in my class last year when I trained Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. I'll actually chat in the link here. Those of you who are out in Ohio, you want to attend live training. This isn't even virtual. This is live with your buddy Phil. Why don't you come to the SHIP conference? Come to the SHIP conference. Sign up for the project management training. I am going to be there live for 3 days. So those of you who are in Ohio or surrounding cities, you want to meet me, you want to be in one of my classes, you want to send a boatload of your colleagues or your subordinates there to learn a thing or two about project management, SHIP is a great organization, I tell you. They will learn a lot, a whole lot. So you might want to go to ship.org. I have put the information in there for you to see. And I think the people that you send down there, if you send your team or your colleagues, I think they'll get a massive, massive, massive run for their time and effort. See? So shpe.org, that is the place that you want to be. Ship.org. And meet me there, and we can have a good old training session there. All right. So any questions before I close? I just chatted in the link to SHIP. What is the city again? The city escapes me. Cleveland, Ohio. The Huntington Convention Center. So definitely a good bang for your buck as well. I mean, I don't think that course costs you anything more than maybe $300 or $400. So it's a 3-day intense training We're spending 3 days and we're covering everything from the beginning to the end of PMP. So for those who have already been there, done that, as far as knowing more about the PMP exam and how it's structured, the first one session, you might feel you already know all of that. But nonetheless, all the other sessions, they're going to be productive. They're going to inspire you, motivate you, you can learn, meet other people, other technical folks, engineers. SHIP has been our client for going to 10 years now. It'll be 10 years in 2020. So about 8 years plus now, we've been doing stuff with SHIP, and great people. I've got a lot of bosses. But anyway, Sandra is going to be joining me. Sandra was in my class last year in this same convention. She came to my class, was a great student, got 5 above targets, 5 AT, along with James. James kind of attended this one as a trainer. But both of these guys got 5 AT. A lot of people think 5 AT is like a fairy tale. I got tons of students who killed the exam with 5 AT, 5 above targets, seriously. So you might want to consider that. 5 above targets. 5 above targets. It doesn't get any better than that. But like I said, if you are interested or you're around the Cleveland area, check it out. Let me share the screenshot with you, just so you know you hit the right site. So it's this right here. I know it's a little bit small. Let me try to make it larger for you. So right here, that's the SHIP website. Just click on that. And it should take you, it's thinking for a bit. There you go. It takes you to that page. And yeah, that's it. That's it right there. So I encourage you, if you're in the Cleveland area, you want to be in a live training with your buddy Phil, go to the SHIP website, sign up, look for the section where we've got the programs. I think it's here. Agenda. And let's see, it should be somewhere here. No. Let's see. PMP, where are you? There we go. PMP Bootcamp, day 1, day 2, and day 3. We are going hard on this stuff, seriously. So sign up for it. See, sign up. It's 8 to 5. Okay. Of course, we're gonna have lunch breaks. Of course, you get your own lunch, but you have a break to do that. So day 1, day 2, day 3. That's it. I would advise anyone who is in the area, wants to be in a live training, wants to get inspired, meet your buddy Phil, get some great materials. Do it. Okay? Do it. Cleveland, Ohio. Yep, that's it. Okay, folks. Well, it's been great talking to you, and I apologize for a little snafu. But Fabian, thanks for saving the day, because my audio would have been off till now. My goodness. That would have been disastrous. See, that's why you need people on your team who are very good at risk monitoring. To raise the alert and let you know when things aren't happening as you want them or think they are. So thank you very much, folks. As usual, I am always here for you. You got any questions? You got any woes, groans, and moans? You've been watching for a while and never once chatted in to ask a question. Hey, don't be a stranger. I don't bite hard, maybe a little bit soft. I'm joking. All right, enough, Phil. Let's shut him down. He's getting out of hand. He's getting a little bit controversial. Let's shut him down for the night. Thank you very much. Take care, folks. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.